Are you a commercial electrical contractor who gets busy doing one thing and fails to do something else, and that is causing your business to suffer? I'm Justin Hitt with Commercial Electrical Profits. What this really is about is a lot of the clients I work with have 5 to 10 employees. That's the whole company. They're commercial electrical contractors. They bring in specialists and sometimes laborers for larger jobs. But the majority of the bread and butter work that they're doing all the time is 3 guys on a job, 3 technicians on a job, somebody checks in on them, and the job's done in a couple days. However, constantly, business owners, the entrepreneurs running these shows, they're making okay money, but they're not, with costs increasing the way they are, they're not really producing enough that they can just stop working. And they're really down inside the business, trying to make things happen. And there's a problem here, a problem there, and they're hopping around to solve these problems, putting out fires. They're essentially a firefighter for their business. And then they look back at the end of the week and they forgot to get a proposal out the door. They forgot to follow up on a customer who, they got the proposal out, but the customer hadn't got a hold of them, and, they're not sure if the estimate's any good anymore. And then they drive by the site and they see somebody else's truck out there. And they realize, oh my gosh, I just lost this guy. He didn't even call me. There's a little bit of regret, a little bit of remorse for those things that that if you had done it 2 weeks ago, that you'd be reaping the rewards today, especially areas where passive income would be developed. For example, if you don't have a service program, service programs can create some passive income, or at least income that you can have a service manager address by scheduling out technicians to go work on things. A service contract also helps your customer have the one place to go to. Maybe you've listened to my programs about subjugating your competitors, and you just know now that the economy's sucking from COVID, that competitor down the street that shut their doors isn't serving their customers. That competitor down the street who's been really running you hard, and you decide to go ahead and stay open and do emergency work and support the hospitals and support the first responders, and they kind of slacked off. They're out there on their boat and stuff like that, social distancing on their boat or in your RV or something. And you just knew that if you had the cash available today, that you could put them under. Now, I know a lot of folks get upset because I talk about subjugating your competitors or buying them out in tough times or positioning a marketplace so that you can buy a company that's for sale the next city over and then instantly expand your business and basically do it for a fraction of what it would cost you to set up your own office. I know that kind of stuff seems aggressive, but when it comes to your retirement account, when it comes to your ability to step back and get a better picture of your business, these things are necessary. So if you're in your business every day, nose to the grind, the technician didn't show up at the job and you got to be the one to make the call. Not your assistant, not your office manager, not your dispatcher, not your, service manager, not your, lead technician. You got to make that call because that person's not going to show up, and he's been giving you trouble all month. And you ought to have been, for every employee you have on staff, if you have 3 people in the wings ready to replace them, you can do 2 things. One, if you have somebody ready, active replacement, then your employees, if they need to take leave for some reason, then you're not stuck. And they don't feel the pressure of having to stay around. They can actually go. So if they don't like working for you, they don't like the way you're running the shop, they could just go and they wouldn't feel any guilt or pressure because they generally have good work ethic. Now, you need to find out people like that because it's a missed opportunity. They could be the person who steps up and manages your dispatch, as well as maybe some office activities. You could give them a little bit more money. But the next reason you want to have a couple people in the wings is because if you expand, let's say you're swamped, you're busy, you've got more work than you have technicians to do the work, and guess what? You don't know about any other technicians in the marketplace who might want to join your team. Well, if you've got, for every technician in the field, you've got resumes for 2 or 3 or 4 technicians. Now, you're not going to necessarily have resumes, but you may have a potential subcontractor who has quality technicians that you could hire under a subcontract basis. You might have a temporary agency who you can hire in jobbers or help staff to make your existing technicians more efficient or effective. You might have a pipeline of apprentices or trainees or people who just got their master's license, or they just got a journeyman's license or something, and you have this pipeline of people that you can invite to come over. You might have partnered with high schools in their trades or community colleges in their trades programs, and so you've got a ready pipeline of apprentices or folks that can come in. The reason you do that is so that you don't burn out a really good technician running them ragged all across town just because you didn't have the time to step back and do a little human resources. Now, when you get past 10 employees, you might have a office manager that does a little human resources. They do some of the screening and organization. But I can understand your concern about having a big back office. You may not want to have 5 people in the office and 2 people in the field. Billable hours is important, but are you able to track those? See, a lot of the owners I talk with, they're so busy and they think it's going to be the next service roundtable or the next piece of software or the next application or the next smartphone device thing, or it's going to be, no. These people are still answering their phone out on job sites. I don't get it. Their cell phone needs to be only inbound calls from their current top customers, their top vendors, and their team. Outside of that, if somebody just found your phone number on a website, they need to be calling somebody at a desk somewhere whose job it is to get down the right information, to capture the contact information, to send a follow-up package, to scope out the job, to make sure it's a good match, to do a little research. You know, if you got a phone call from a big corporation tomorrow who is setting up a new building in your location, would you even know who they were? You know, they have somebody on a front desk call your office and say, look, we're looking at electrician. I'm a procurement manager and we're doing vendor sourcing for a building site and I'm looking for an electrician. And the person who answers the phone doesn't have the right script. The person who answers the phone doesn't capture the right information. You might not know to go research, because a lot of times they'll look for vendors blind, but you might go research in the permits and see who's been looking on site. You might go contact the economic development people and say, okay, well, who's been looking at sites in our industrial parks? And then you can get in on that job earlier and be able to send information out earlier so that when they come in to do a site visit, they're going to visit you and then start talking about, hey, how do we get this job planned out? What's the general you can become a resource. But again, if you're busy figuring out inventory in the warehouse and yelling at Joe because he didn't put the right stuff on his truck this week and he's at a job site, now you got to run out the parts to him, you're just missing out on opportunities. You're not only missing out on opportunities for growth, but you're missing out on opportunities like what's happening right now. Right now with the COVID is a prime opportunity for you to have been out in the marketplace, not necessarily putting your guys at risk, but in the marketplace using communications to talk about something that's relevant to people. You could have been doing charitable work for the publicity value of that, as well as actually helping people in your community. And you might also have been in a situation where you'd have enough free time to look at the strategic value. The U.S. government is giving away money. They're giving you money to keep your people on staff. If you can borrow twice your payroll, you could shore up a reserve fund that, by the way, may pay more interest than the loan cost and make sure that you can stay in business if this whole stay-at-home order, maybe you're in a state that has a pretty strict stay-at-home order, you might need to float for 3 months. You might need to float for a year, and that's great. You borrow the cheap money. You might even buy out a competitor. You borrow the cheap money. There are rules about the money. Can't necessarily pay down debt or buy inventory, but ultimately you could position yourself so that you can buy out that competitor that's struggling. Or maybe that there's a competitor right next door who if you had a chance to build a relationship with, they might reveal to you that they're retiring. And if they're retiring and they want somebody quality like yourself to take over that business and carry on the legacy, well, why not you? But you need the resources for that. You need the cash. You need the profits in your business for the years before now so that you'd have the reserve funds, so that you'd have money built up in retirements or qualified savings accounts, or you'd have money built up in equity Not just equity in your customers, but maybe equity in a building that's reduced your rent because you own the building. Maybe you bought some real estate on the side as part of this deal that you've been using as mixed use, and that's been cash flowing for you. These are all opportunities that you can leverage when you have a little bit of extra time in the day. So let me leave you a couple tips. First off, it is your day. You plan out your day in advance with where you're going to be, what are you going to do, what's going on. If there's a fire, that's why you have staff, okay? If you've decided you're going to do customer site visits today, turn your damn phone off, drive out to the customer sites, do your site visits. Maybe this is just the morning, okay? And then you turn the phone back on in the afternoon. If something blows up in the morning, you'll be able to solve it in the afternoon. Now, here's the thing. I like you to be able to turn your phone off for a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a time, and basically have what's called a daily huddle. Your daily check-in meeting, maybe it's a stand-up meeting at the office. Everybody looks at the job board. Everybody decides what's going on. You dispatch folks. It's your day. Make the day what it is. The second tip is start working on your strategic plan. I need you to know about the competitor in the town next door when they want to retire. You're going to meet them at an association general contractors meeting. You're going to see them around at the Chamber of Commerce. Just get to know them. Find out who they are. They are not your enemy. In fact, competitors, even if they set up an office right next door, and they're 10 times your size, not your enemy. These folks can be good referrals. Many of these folks specialize, or you specialize. You want to partner with these folks and build out your network. Now, you can't build out your network if you are every day putting out fires. You also want to build out your network with potential quality customers. I don't care if that customer slammed a door in your face 100 times. If they're a high value quality customer and you know you can deliver value to them, just keep coming back. Use a prospect newsletter. Use outbound mail. Use other channels that are not as often used but are direct response, meaning you're going to send something out and get a qualified prospect to raise their hand. You're going to send customer success stories. You're going to set up campaigns, and you're going to market your business to buyers in the marketplace who can do business with you. Now, I help clients target affluent homeowners and commercial business, okay? But maybe you've got a residential side that does general work, and that's where you put your entry-level people. You put one lead technician out there and you put a couple entry-level guys, and the majority of the work they're doing is ground fault outlets and residential housing. That's fine. Doesn't matter to me. It's that pipeline. That pipeline that's where you're getting your guys experience, and then as they get better experience, they can go run a commercial job. As they get better experience and they learn to put their little footies on and they know how to get in and out of a house without customer complaints, you take your cream of the crop and you start putting them on your commercial accounts. There are options for service contracts. Your commercial accounts, your affluent folks, they want you to show up emergency work. They want you to show up for project work. They're willing to pay a subscription for that. That's a new way of handling your type of work. But again, you've got to be able to free up the time. So first, it's understanding it is your day. Map your day out the way you'd like it to go. It's not always going to go like that, but as you do that, you'll start getting 2 to 3 weeks out in advance. You'll be able to cluster like work together. You'll be able to start working with time blocks. You start having morning meetings that are more productive because you've got this job board that everybody can see. Like a Kanban status on a glance. There's a lot of opportunity there. And then finally, start building and cultivating that network. Who is the person you need to go to get questions answered about X and questions answered about Y? Who are the ideal 100 customers in your marketplace that you need to contact and communicate with regularly? Who are the vendors that you trust to be subcontractors to the work that you're doing, or who are potential prime contractors to sub you in on jobs where you're a specialist? Folks, I'm Justin Hitt from Commercial Electrical Profits. Right now, just like every other crash and every natural disaster, I keep telling you guys, if you survive this time and you do the things that I'm sharing with you right now and you make them habit, when the economy's up, you're going to be rolling in money. Now, don't go buy RVs and new boats and stuff like that, but you'll be rolling in cash to build out the reserves, to set up the war chest, to set up the funds necessary that you won't need outside money, but if it's available at cheap, you'll be able to back up a good, strong cash flow. And that cash flow will transform your business. It'll position you to do what you need to do, and you're going to get the outcomes that you're looking for. I'm here to help you create and keep profitable customers, and we do that by transforming business relationships into profits. I can guarantee outcomes because the systems that we use are practical, easy to implement, and they just require you to be able to focus for a little bit. I know there's a lot of distractions out there. I've got those distractions too. And I see many of my clients talk about struggling with them. It is simply decide it is your day and you're going to make it what you want to make it. You're going to have written calendars. You're going to have administrative staff to support that. You're going to have job boards. You're going to have daily meetings. And you're going to get out there, just turn that phone off. Get out there and do what you need to do. And if you ever say to me, hey, I can't turn my phone off because of X, then fix X. I can't turn my phone off because the administrative assistant, when she takes the calls, she doesn't write down the information. Well, fix it. Make them write down the information. Get somebody else. Anyway, I'm Justin Hitt with Commercial Electrical Profits. Got a little excited about this one, but I'm always getting asked these questions, and I want to make sure you get past this hump so you can grow from $1 million to 10 million, 20 million or more. Thanks for listening.